Morning, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about overfunctioning in social work and the ways in which we overfunction actually meet service needs whilst it's depleting from us, or silently or without being noticed. If you're a social worker who continually gives everything that you have and is a social worker who works overtime all the time, a social worker who can't not check emails on weekends, if you are a social worker who overgives, overfunctions, a bit of a martyr to the profession, this live is for you. We are going to be talking about overfunctioning today, and it's something that can so easily happen when you are in the helping profession, because the idea is that we care for people, and when we care for people, sometimes the meaning that we attach to that is overfunctioning, is sacrifice, it's overgiving. And what's happening in that process is that you are depleting yourself whilst meeting service need, and you are sending the message to your brain that that's okay. One of the things that many of us weren't taught when we were in university and studying to become a social worker is how to navigate the constant crisis intervention emotionally. Emotionally, it takes a toll on you. You don't actually understand that you are teaching yourself to put yourself last. Now, we all know that it's important for us to be there for our families and to be there for those who may be at risk of harm and abuse. That goes without saying. We all know that there are moments where we have to go above and beyond. We have to work that overtime. We have to give that little bit more. We have to forsake lunch breaks in order to ensure that we are meeting the standard necessary and demonstrate that genuine care. All of that goes without saying, but we also have to be mindful that has to be balanced with boundaries for yourself. Boundaries that are going to keep your tank filled up, particularly during those busy periods. No one teaches you about the emotional exhaustion and the emotional depletion in those scenarios when you are giving everything that you absolutely have because you are trying to keep people safe and happy. No one talks about the emotional impact of those scenarios when you're on your drive home and you've just experienced something that's traumatizing, if you will. No one talks about these emotional bags that we have to carry, this emotional weight that we have to carry as social workers. We might be showing up and doing the job, showing up and doing what we need to do, but actually, what is the emotional cost of caring? What is the emotional cost of overfunctioning? What is the emotional cost of giving more and more and more? These are the things that we don't really talk about, and we should talk about. We should bring it to the fore because it actually is part of caring. When you are giving, when you are overfunctioning, when you are working with integrity, when you are doing all the things you're meant to be doing, it is an emotional investment. So that means that emotional investment means somewhere along the line, something's being taken from you, right? That emotion is being taken from you. And the more that you give and the more that you care, the more that you are feeling like, okay, I'm not really pouring into my own cup here. I don't even have a thanks from my manager here. I don't even have the support that I'm supposed to have in order to navigate this emotional terrain, if you will. So when you are in the helping profession and no one's talking about the emotional impact of the work that you're doing, that's where I come in. That's where I talk about, well, what does that support look like for you? What do you think you need from your manager, from your organization overall, in order for you to function as the social worker that you want to be, in order for you to function as the helping professional that you want to be? What's left over when you get home at night is the residue of the day. Like, what do you do with those emotions? What do you do with that exhaustion? Some people go home from work and they're parents. They go home from work and they're carers for their parents or an aunt or something. And people don't recognize that you're giving all day and then you come home and then you have to do the same thing again. And you're doing all of this without the right emotional support system and practical support system around you. And a lot of social workers that I coach social workers across the country from student state of service. Most of them don't come to the coaching session because there is a concern, or, they are stressed about caseload. They come because they don't feel that they've got the right relationship with their manager and the right support. When you don't have those two elements, you have to start thinking about, well, what else do I need to help me navigate this job? Because it doesn't matter what helping professional category you fall into, whether it's social work, police, nurse, education, mental health, you need the right emotional and practical support around you, whether that comes from your manager and supervision, whether that comes from your team, or whether it comes from the organization. But when those three things, or one of those three things, are not giving you what you need, that can compound the emotional impact of the work that you're already doing. And this is what we are not talking about. What is the right support system for you specifically to meet your individual needs? Now, for some people, having a good relationship with their manager, but not necessarily with the team, and not accessing the organizational support systems like counseling, etc., that might work for someone. It might work for someone accessing the counseling provided by the organization, but not necessarily having a good relationship with the team or the manager. You have to decide what's going to work for you individually, because everyone has their own individual needs. If you are someone who's prone to overthinking, for example, not having one of those three, or not having those three working together in tandem, might be something that will really be a challenge for you. And this is what we are not talking about, is what is the right balance of the support system that you specifically need in order to show up and do the job you've got to do, but while still having what you need to be there for you when you get home. Certainly when I was in practice, I've done safeguarding for 27 years, and I've done children's social work for 15 years. I've been a coach for 10 years. And one of the things that I know for sure is you are not taught how to navigate the emotional terrain of the job. They teach you about the fact that you've got to be careful about burnout and all this sort of stuff, but no one's actually teaching you how to navigate that, right? No one's actually saying, well, maybe you need to think of this, maybe you need to go here for resources. They're not really going into the depth of witnessing trauma, writing trauma, reading trauma, experiencing vicarious trauma. You've got all of that, and then you need to come home and you don't have the right support. That's something that we need to talk about. Just reading your comment here. I saw a comment about managers. Thank you, Brown Eyes. Managers are not supportive. You share with them your worries and they use it against you later. Oh, that hurts to read it out loud, but it's a story I've heard many times, and it's a story that I've experienced as well. And I've been a manager. I've been a manager managing over 10 staff in one team. And what I used to do, although I really really did struggle with it in terms of time, but I used to have like a well-being session separate from the case discussion, or just to have half an hour straight well-being and whatever it is they want to talk about, and then we go into case discussion. But we always ended up with a part two, because case discussions, they do take way longer than expected, and you never know what's going to come up in that conversation as to what to do for next steps, or to navigate or talk about, provide support for the social worker's feelings and experiences on that case as well. So it's not straightforward. It's not straightforward. And I'm not sure that my method of doing supervision back then was necessarily effective for service lead, but it definitely was effective for my staff. 100%. I don't regret that at all. But it was always difficult to say, okay, let's have a part two supervision. So you've got to take another hour of your time, another hour of their time. And they've already got a list of things to do. So yeah, it's very difficult. I kind of feel like supervision should be considered like just being half a day and just be done with it. Because that way you can get through all of your cases. You can get through some of the worries. You can provide support in that time as well. But I think it's very difficult to navigate supervision in what they give, sometimes 2 hours. It's never enough, especially if you've got a full caseload and you're an experienced social worker. It's never enough. And the problem is when you're not getting what you need from your manager or the organization or from your team, the question then is, where do you go? Where do you go to get that support? You can speak to family, but there's only so much you can tell them in terms of GDPR. There's only so much they will understand. You can talk to friends, but they will not understand nuances either. And there's only so far you can go with GDPR. For real. You can speak to your colleagues, but you might not want to share too much with your colleagues because you don't want your colleagues to judge you, or you don't want to feel as if you are less than in some way. You can speak to your manager. A lot of people have had negative experiences of doing this. The conversation might go well. You might get some form of support, but in the end, as someone said, they can use that information against you. And so most people don't feel emotionally safe talking to their managers either. So my question is, hi Tricia, my question is, where do you actually go when you are feeling stressed, when you feel that you need some kind of emotional and practical support? Where do you actually go? Where does that sit? And for a lot of social workers, it goes nowhere. They actually suppress it and internalize it. And that's how they end up in coaching sessions with me, because they have all these emotions, all these experiences, all this vicarious trauma. They're carrying all of this weight, the responsibility and the general overall stress of the job itself, that responsibility, they're carrying all of that, and they don't really have anywhere to put that information, anywhere to really process that information. And this is something that I think is lacking in the helping profession overall, because no matter where you go, particularly in the workplace, you will always have these dynamics, power dynamics and emotional dynamics, political dynamics, etc. They exist within the workplace. It's inherent in the culture of the workplace. And how you see yourself within that hierarchy and that culture depends on the way in which you will choose to interact with it. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you are choosing not to interact with it because you think that's what's going to keep you emotionally safe, that's what's going to, maintain reputation or whatever it is, the narrative that you have surrounding that, then you're still the one going home with all those emotions, with that vicarious trauma, with the stress and with the responsibility, with nowhere to go. And if you compound that year 2, year 4, year 5, year 7, what does that actually look like when you play that out in practice, when you're interacting with your vulnerable communities? What does that look like to them? I know for me personally, I present very, very well. I presented very, very well. It's absolutely fine for me to show up, do the work that I've got to do, sacrifice, overfunction, do all these things. And then when I come home, exhaustion. Some social workers struggle to even cook, not because they don't want to and not because they don't have food, but because they don't have the emotional capacity to do anything more when they get through the door. Some social workers struggle to even open their own post. Some social workers really struggle with getting the laundry done. Things that, helps their house tick over, because they don't have the emotional capacity to do anything more than what they've done that day, because they've given everything that they absolutely have for that day, for whoever it may be or whatever the task was. And we really need some support and some trainings and some insight on how to navigate that level of emotional exhaustion where you are just struggling to keep up at home. Do you know what I mean? It's not because you want to, it's just that you just don't have any more energy, you don't have any further emotional capacity. And what can happen is that, what I've noticed, that social workers can very, very slowly get to a place where they're in an avoidant state. They're just avoiding anything more that has responsibility attached to it, because they are struggling to show up for themselves, show up for their own families in their own homes, show up to clean the house and manage the house, because they are giving so much. And that's because the right boundaries aren't in place, the right support isn't in place, and they haven't been taught or haven't been given the awareness of how to really navigate, that system. Brown eyes. True, it's so painful. Only a year in the UK, already planning an exit plan back home. I just feel like crying. I hear you. I hear you, brown eyes. I really do. And it's so hard to really reconcile with that, because you can't see a way out. Because the bottom line is, those emails keep coming. Let's keep it real. Whether you're feeling stressed or not, whether you're feeling like you're at capacity or not, whether you have time off with work stress or not, whether you have annual leave or not, the emails keep coming. Everybody's life keeps going. And when you return, you still have that responsibility. Personally, when I had time off, say annual leave, it was very stressful to even go on annual leave, because you have to make sure that in your absence, there's certain information that people know. Because don't forget, you know every nuance of this family. You know every nuance. You know that Gran works, 2 till 4 every fourth Friday, for example, right? And that has an impact on whether Gran can have the child at this time. And all these tiny little nuances make a difference, and you have to make sure that information is on the system. Not that it isn't on the system, but you need to update the system that in your absence, there's a summary there. And you have to do that for every single family that you're working with, right? So you have to think that it's more work taking the time off. And then on the way back in, that the stress level and the anxiety goes up to 10, because you're going to come back to hundreds and hundreds of email, and everybody's asking something of you. When you don't have the right emotional and practical support to navigate the emotional terrain of the helping profession, you will inevitably burn out. You will inevitably be looking at exit plans and trying to figure out how you're going to navigate this. How are you going to navigate this? So 3.5 years ago now, I stepped back from frontline practice. I was a manager in an A&I team. And after over 10 years of practice, I decided to step back, because the organization was inviting me quite willingly to shrink myself. They didn't want me to advocate for myself. And to me, that was unacceptable. I'm an experienced and very good social work practitioner. And that's what I was invited to do. So I decided to take a step back, and I set up the Social Work Coaching Hub, which offers one-to-one coaching with social workers. It offers events for social workers. I have books and planners for social workers as well. And also I have the Social Work Growth Hub. And the idea is that I'm providing services and products that I wish I had access to when I was in practice, that gives that intricate emotional and practical support that can support you whilst you are on the front line. So here you'll see the Social Work Growth Hub. You can tap the link in the bio to find out more about it. But essentially, it is a community of social workers suitable for students all the way up to team managers. We have regular online events. You get discounted tickets for our in-person events, and you have access to over 70 resources. Now, those resources are linked to well-being, leadership, employment protection, anti-racist practice, direct work tools that you can use with your families, all to support you in your quest in becoming the social worker that you want to be, but becoming the social worker that you want to be with the right support around you, with the right community around you. It's not connected to your workplace, so you don't feel as if you have to hold back. It's a safe space when we meet online and have these reflective discussions and have our events. And this is what I'm here to share with you. Anytime that you see me, you have access to all of these tools, whether it's the coaching, whether it's the in-person events, or whether it's the Social Work Growth Hub. If you tap the link in my profile and tap Growth Hub, it will show you everything that is in there and why it exists. It's been in play for I say a few months actually, but it's since last year. And it continues to grow, because social workers are recognizing that if they are not getting what they need from the workplace, from their manager, they can and they have the autonomy to make a choice to invest in themselves. And sometimes that's exactly what's needed. If you continue to just try and survive and try and survive, it's not going to work. I've been there and I've tried it. You have to do something different to get a different result. If you're not getting what you need from your workplace or your manager or the organization as a whole, you have to step outside the workplace and seek what you need, seek the support that you need and invest in that. And that is why for the past 10 years, this is why for the past 10 years, I've been coaching social workers one-to-one. They come to me separately, aside from their workplace, and say, you know what, I need a space to talk about this. I want to go for this job. I want to navigate this relationship with my manager. I want to change profession, or I'm thinking of leaving the profession. Whatever it may be, whether it's particularly confidence and anxiety, one of the main things people come with, and they need that space for them because they're not getting it from the workplace. They're not getting what they need from their manager. And as someone says, when you share information with your manager, even, it doesn't matter whether it's general or not, it can, and in somewhat what someone said on this chat, it has been used against them. So this is why the Social Work Growth Hub exists. It's a community of social workers for students all the way up to team managers, providing them with the emotional tools and resources alongside online events and discounted tickets for our in-person events, where you can access materials and support to help you with leadership, well-being, direct work tools for practice, professional practice tools, and personal growth tools as well. Full journals, over 100 pages long, that you can download, use in practice, use for yourself. These tools are necessary in order for you to have a sustainable career in social work. And these are the reasons why social workers are choosing to join the Growth Hub, because they don't have access to these tools from their workplace. They don't have access to a community of social workers where they can have a real conversation and not be holding back and feel emotionally safe to say, you know something, I'm stressed. You know something, I'm not coping with this. You know something, I don't know how to navigate this relationship with my manager. So that is what we're providing inside the Growth Hub. So you can tap the link in the bio. It is no subscription, so it is lifetime access, and you are able to pay in 3 installments when you go to the checkout page. So coming back to the topic that we're talking about, which is around overfunctioning and giving more because you care. All of that is important, but you have to ask yourself the question, what is the emotional cost of caring? What is the practical cost of caring? And you have to decide what boundaries you need to put in for yourself to make sure that your career is sustainable and that you're able to care at the level and the standard that you want to and give what you want to while still having something left for yourself when you come home. So your home, hi Satiman, so your home isn't a complete mess. Like you're not struggling with opening post and you're not developing this avoidant lifestyle where you're just avoiding doing so many different things in your own home because you don't have the emotional capacity to do anything more because you've given everything that you can at work. I've been there. I've been a martyr to the profession. I've given everything, and then when I've got home, I barely want to cook because I'm just full, emotionally full. Right? You've experienced trauma, vicarious trauma. You're writing, you're stressed, you've got phone calls, you've got to call people back, you've got to do all these things. Yes, it is all part of the job. It's all part of the job, but you are responsible for managing that too. You are responsible for how your boundaries are implemented and when they are implemented. You are responsible for managing your own time outside of work, your own emotions. Work can't do that for you. Just saying you're too stressed to your manager isn't going to help you. You have to think of, what do I need? How can I navigate the emotional terrain? The bottom line is, we all need a way of a support system. And if you haven't got a support system, that's what I'm sharing with you today, which is the Social Work Coaching Hub. And again, you can tap the link in the bio, access the resources, access our online events with our community of social workers. It's suitable for students all the way up to team managers, where you've got resources, videos, tools for personal development, professional development as well. Yes, Satiman, thank you so much. Support system and self-love. Come home and do something for you. I hear you, but I tell you what, some people struggle doing that. That's the thing. They haven't got the emotional capacity to do anything for themselves once they get home. And that is the crux of what we're talking about today. It's having the emotional capacity enough for yourself. It's not as simple as it sounds. And now with the introduction of social media, back then we didn't really have social media like we have it now, but with the introduction of social media, people just spend all this time doom scrolling. And if you really check it, whilst it might feel like escapism, the amount of information that you're feeding to your brain when that is happening, your brain is still working. It's not necessarily relaxing in the true sense of the word. So you have to decide. You have to decide, what's going to work for you. What's going to work for you. Thank you so much, Satiman. And thank you for sharing. So if any of you got any questions, please put them in the chat. Double tap the screen. If you've been watching me, double tap the screen. Let's try and get this up to 500. Let's make this work. And any other questions that people have, please do share. I invite you to check out the Social Work Coaching Hub and tap the link in the bio. If you want to access coaching with me on a one-to-one basis, you can apply for coaching if you tap the link in the bio as well. That's available to you. It takes you to make that step. If you're not getting it at work, you're not getting it from your teammates, you're not getting it from your manager, you will have to take that step. And that's basically where we're at. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's okay. But I am saying thank you for the likes. But I am saying that you will need to take some accountability and responsibility for your own emotional well-being and ensure that you are going to take the time out to decide, what do I need in order to have a sustainable career here? Who do I need it from? And where can I get that support from? I've coached social workers for 10 years, and a lot of them do struggle to answer those questions. Those are kind of just the basic framework, really, without the true detail. Where are you going to get the support from? Who are you going to get it from? What do you need? Those are the things. Thank you so much for the hearts. Those are the things that we really need to decide. And if you figure that you're not getting it from work, your manager or your team, that's where I can come in and help you. And you can access the Social Work Growthing Hub. I've renamed it. It's the Growthing Hub now. Thank you so much for the hearts. Let's get it to 500. Tap the link in the bio. If you want to get involved. And even if you have got the right support, but actually you want more, you want a community of social workers you can interact with, tap the link in the bio and be part of our Growth Hub. Be part of the community, so you have somewhere to go. And you have resources that you can utilize for work as well, which I think is really helpful, that you've got direct work tools in there that you can use with your families. So my name is Lisa Ann Edwards. I am the founder of Social Work Coaching Hub, helping social workers with the Growth Hub, one-to-one coaching and events and planners, so they can be organized and I can make life just that little bit easier for frontline practice. It's lovely speaking to you all today. Hi, Jess. Great speaking to you all today. Tap the link in the bio to get involved with the Growth Hub community and be part of our community of social workers and our WhatsApp group and all the stuff we've got going on there. You can be part of that to support your own growth and to support your own personal development. I truly believe as social workers, we should be developing ourselves personally as well as professionally, because you can only offer what you've got. And if what you've got is, let's say, you stop growing and you stop growing in yourself 10 years ago, that's what you're offering, right? That's what you're offering to your families and all the rest of it. So it's important that you continue to grow in yourself. And I pray that this live has been useful for you. It's been helpful for you. It's been thought-provoking for you to figure out, okay, where am I getting my support from? Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for the likes. Have a lovely day. I'll see you all tomorrow morning.